On September 18, 2025, Doha's peaceful night was shattered by sudden explosions. Israeli fighter jets struck the city's southern districts, targeting port facilities and a suspected logistics hub. The skyline, once a symbol of modernity, was lit by fire and chaos. Panic swept through the streets. Families fled, alarms blared, and smoke rose from Hamad port. The attack was a direct blow to Qatar's sense of security. Residential buildings near the strikes suffered heavy damage. Glass and debris filled homes. The psychological shock was immediate. This was no longer a distant conflict. Doha's image as a safe haven was gone in an instant. Emergency services rushed to the scene as the world watched in disbelief. The Israeli military offered no comment, fueling outrage across the globe. In Doha, fear turned to anger, a violation that demanded a response. The city's wound was deep, both physically and emotionally. The attack was a message: nowhere was safe. As the night wore on, the consequences of those few minutes began to unfold. The world asked, why Qatar? Why now? The answers would reshape the region. In the aftermath, Qatar's leadership moved quickly. Emir Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Thani addressed the nation, condemning the attack and vowing justice. He called for unity, not retaliation, and reassured his people that Qatar would not be cowed. The next morning, citizens filled the streets, not in protest but in solidarity. Volunteers cleared debris, aided emergency crews, and supported the wounded. The attack, meant to divide, only strengthened Qatar's resolve. The world saw a nation standing tall, its spirit unbroken. Global media captured scenes of resilience, flags on balconies, strangers helping strangers. Behind the unity, Qatar's diplomats worked urgently. The Emir reached out to leaders across the Muslim world, framing the attack as a challenge to all. The time for empty condemnations was over. Qatar would use this crisis to forge something new. The call for a historic summit was about to go out. Doha's call was clear. This was an attack on all of us. Within hours, envoys reached out to Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, Iran, and Turkey. Qatar demanded an emergency summit in Doha within 48 hours. The world watched as rival leaders, Saudi, Iranian, Turkish, and Pakistani, agreed to meet. Their arrival in Doha was historic. For the first time, these powers gathered in a Muslim capital under attack. The symbolism was unmistakable. Regional problems would be solved by regional powers. The summit convened behind closed doors, but unity was the message. At a joint press conference, leaders spoke of Islamic brotherhood and collective security. The Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, the President of Iran, the President of Turkey, and the Prime Minister of Pakistan all pledged support. They stood together, not just as national leaders, but as guardians of a shared future. The Doha summit was more than a meeting. It was the birth of a new bloc. The world took notice. A new era was beginning. Inside the summit, the Emir of Qatar proposed a bold idea, a true military alliance, the Islamic Security Pact. No more empty promises. This would be a binding pact of mutual defense, modeled on NATO. The room was tense, but the urgency was clear. The Pakistani Prime Minister spoke of deterrence. The Turkish President saw strategic advantage. Even Iran and Saudi Arabia, long rivals, recognized the need for unity. Outside, millions across the Muslim world demanded action, not words. Demonstrations from Karachi to Cairo pressured leaders to deliver real change. The concept of an Islamic NATO resonated deeply. The summit's final declaration was historic. The Islamic Security Pact was born. An attack on one would be an attack on all. A joint military command would be established, and defense systems integrated. The announcement sent shockwaves worldwide. For the first time, the Muslim world had a collective security framework. The alliance was real, and the world would have to reckon with it. A new power had emerged. The Islamic Security Pact's declaration marked a turning point. Analysts in Washington, Brussels, and Moscow scrambled to assess the new alliance. The pact united Saudi wealth, Pakistani and Turkish military strength, and Iran's strategic depth. Skeptics doubted its longevity, citing past failures and deep-seated rivalries. But this time, the unity was driven by a young, connected generation demanding dignity and action. Social media and public pressure would hold leaders accountable. The world stood at a crossroads. Would this alliance fade, or reshape global politics? The ink was still wet, the outcome unwritten. The answer would come not from declarations, but from the resolve of those who dared to stand together in Doha. The future was theirs to define.